Welcome to Akancha Against Harassment. I'm going to talk to you about something which all of us are guilty of doing. So I'm sitting in the studio and we're recording this podcast, and two of the other team members, as I notice, are constantly on the phone, and some are checking their WhatsApp, and some are looking at their messages, and some are compulsively probably looking at Facebook, not because, there's anything very interesting or critical happening, but because it's a force of habit, right? Because we have access to internet, we have a smartphone in our hand. So the moment you have 2 minutes on your hand, what do you want to do? You want to check what happened on Twitter, who posted that lovely picture on Instagram. And this is exactly what I want to talk to you about. What happens when you overuse internet? What happens if you really get addicted? As crazy as that sounds, internet addiction is possible. I want to first tell you about something called as Facebook addiction disorder. This is an actual syndrome which has been identified by scientists. And the addiction criteria is, neglecting personal life, mental health, escapism, mood-modifying experiences, and such. So Swansea University found that people experienced, actual psychological symptoms of withdrawal when they stopped using Facebook or internet for some time. And exactly the kind of withdrawal symptoms you would face if you were taken off some other addiction. So you can imagine, what if you were on cocaine and what damage it was doing to your mind and body? And exactly the same kind of effects and the same kind of damage is happening to you when you overuse, whether it's social media or whether it's internet. What else happens when you're overusing? And, even now I can see these team members, frantically checking their phones. The biggest impact it has is it leads to unhappiness. That doesn't sound right. You feel happy checking Facebook, right? Then how can it lead to unhappiness? I'll tell you how. There was an experiment where, they looked at the 11 leading social media sites. So that had Twitter and Snapchat and Facebook, Google+, YouTube, all of that. And people who overuse these sites, their behavior correlated to being perceived as socially isolated. Social media sites actually isolate you. You might have an impression that you've become very social because you have more friends, but actually you're socially isolating yourself from physical and real people and spending more and more time online. Wouldn't you rather spend this time going out and playing a game of badminton or maybe walking a kilometer instead of compulsively sitting and scrolling and looking at what's happening on social media, right? One of the severe ill effects which I have seen even in my friend circle is we begin a lot of comparisons. We start measuring our life to others. Hey, how come she or he is so successful? Or how come they wear such expensive clothes and I work so hard? How come it doesn't happen with me? And these are very, natural, normal human emotions. They just get aggravated and we get more aggrieved because we are so consumed by how much social media we are really surfing. That's not fair. What it turns to is jealousy and anger. All of us, including those in this room, have been guilty at some point of going and snooping on your ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend, your boss, your, neighbor, somebody, right? But that's not right, because you are wasting a precious part of your physical and your mental health chasing something which just is not going to lead to anything good. You got to stop doing it. Social media is such a powerful tool. Use it to connect to people who make you happy. But where you should really be spending time is making some offline true friendships and relationships. What's the point of having 50,000 followers on Twitter if you don't really have one good friend whom you can call at 4 a.m.? If you're being a couch potato and surfing, Instagram at 2 o'clock in the morning, at this point, I want to just interject and say, do you remember those stories where a few very popular Instagrammers came out saying that, these personas we project are not true. We do a lot of makeup, even for hashtags which say, I woke up like this. Nobody wakes up looking like $1 million. Just nobody in this world. These are all projections. Don't be so consumed by them. It's not good for your mental health. Everything in moderation. We spoke about how internet is like a piece of cake. So if somebody presents you with a piece of cake and you have just one slice, it tastes great. You have another one, you feel okay, now I don't want any more. What if you had a 1 kg cake every day? You're going to die of sugar, right? So everything in moderation, everything spread out, and be sensible about where you're putting your energies. Let's at least resolve that 2018 we'll try and lead a more mentally and physically healthy lives. Talk to you soon on Akancha Against Harassment. Thank you.